Hi, everyone. Unless you're listening to this on Patreon, you're not going to be able to listen to the whole thing. You'll just be hearing a preview on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other places because this is our first Patreon exclusive episode. Moving forward, we're going to have it be where every third episode is exclusive and you're only going to be able to listen to it on there. So be sure you subscribe. Mm-hmm. And this week's episode is on moral codes.
Yeah, this was an idea we were knocking around for a bit because it was coming up in other episodes, but it felt too loosey-goosey to make into an ep for a bit. But we figured with the Patreon ones, we can do more cultural commentary / personal life stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are more interested in us as people at this point.
Oh, let's hope.
I feel like with podcasts, the hosts need to sort of ease themselves into in certain aspects. Yeah, I mean, we're not the type of podcast where we want to be vulgar, but I feel like if you're listening to a podcast and you turn it on and it's immediately raunchy, most people get turned off.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe in a similar way with us being sentimental or introspective, mm-hmm. or I guess in this case, moral, people needed to listen to us for a bit first before they would listen to this stuff more seriously.
Yeah. So I do want to warn, we're not going to this is not going to be an hour of us just moralizing and talking about what good people we are. No, this is kind of about trying to set a code for yourself and trying to stick to it. I think a lot of people could roughly say oh yeah, I think I do that. I have values and stuff, but I feel like you and I have been a little more concrete about it.
Yeah.
Maybe less, I don't know, more intentional about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the modern world, a lot of people are raised without religion and they're told by their parents to just be a good person, mm-hmm. which is a single phrase that isn't a robust enough moral framework to deal with the complexities of everyday life. That's an idea I got from Angie Speaks, by the way. Oh. But I think that maybe both of us, having experienced the death of parents in our childhood, we had to create a system for ourselves mm-hmm. in which to behave morally because we didn't have, that additional parental figure mm-hmm. to guide us necessarily.
Yeah. So you can't just kind of do it by instinct sometimes. But yeah, you were a lot younger when you lost your parent. And so I feel like that's even more important to start setting a code and stuff. Not the other parent, the surviving parent doesn't exist or anything, but you kind of start to, if kids with absentee parents self-parent highly, then I think people missing a parent lightly self-parent, they have self-parent to try and make things whole.
Yeah, I mean, I know for myself that the existence of my moral code, which this isn't just the idea of moral codes, it's I personally have one, you have mm-hmm. two for quite a long period of time. And yeah, I can trace back the origin of this to my mother's death. And it materialized in conjunction with me sort of starting to explore Catholicism independently because my mother was actually a theologian. She taught religion in high schools and she actually came to Chicago with a group of nuns. That's how she met my dad. But yeah, after she died, I had to sort of explore Catholicism independently because mm-hmm. my dad is agnostic. And yeah, it sort of came to be, as a consequence of her death.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually just listing out moral codes and stuff. I realized I do kind of have a hesitancy about this because I think a moral code on top of my moral codes is that you should show your morals through actions and not just talk about them. I'm almost kind of afraid to talk about them because then it feels it's one of those things if you want to go to the gym more, a bad thing to do is to talk to your friends about, hey, I'm going to start going to the gym more and stuff because apparently you get a small dopamine hit from doing that. And you're oh, it feels like I already did it. The best thing to do is to kind of keep it close to your chest and just do it and don't tell anyone about it. I thought it was kind of weird when I was in a fraternity in college. We had this is not me telling fraternity secrets, but we have secret precepts or values. Yeah. Basically, we have a code of ethics that's public on the website, and that's 10 rules that we all abide by. And there's these secret values. And the idea is that by the time that you finish rushing there and you're getting initiated as a brother, these values should not be a surprise to you. These are things that you've seen modeled in the behavior of the brothers in the fraternity. And when I got there, I was yeah, these all make sense. This is all some of them I totally guessed, but other ones, I guess it was an interesting word for a value that I hadn't thought of. But I think that's good because if you just have your values a flag and you're waving them around, you're not, I don't know, you'll just kind of call it a day. I have values. All right. Anyway, on to what I was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely want to be action focused as opposed to just talking.
Yeah. I mean, I was once told that I think that and I